It is incredibly nice out today. Incredibly nice out. It's like 50 degrees in February. You really can't beat this in North Dakota. So I took the tarp off because my body desperately needs contact with the sun. I already kind of primed myself up a bit. I did these laying flat quad extensions, and they feel way better than sitting quad extensions. Probably can't lift as much, but they feel really good. I'm gonna do a muscle snatch into a power snatch, both from the hip. I broke my fast yesterday. I can say fairly conclusively that fasting did help my knee. The tendonitis feels much better. Pretty significant improvement. Had a really solid plyometric session yesterday. And usually after that, I'm feeling much more sore than I am today. Especially after the knee tweak. I've been thinking a lot about, so the fasting kind of developed into some thoughts about how in our culture with this excess of food, never really wanting for anything, kind of creates this almost dynamic with food that's hedonistic. Hedonism being that any desire or want you have, you easily give yourself over to it. So there's like hedonism as a philosophy or a way of living, which any sort of desire, regardless of how base or evil it is, and by base, I mean base, not based, but base as in like lower level, not primal, but animalistic maybe. Like you just give yourself over to it. I was thinking how a lot of us, at least me, I'm speaking for myself, how it's very easy to fall into kind of a hedonistic way of eating. And in doing that, like hedonism is objectively bad for our body, mind, soul, and spirit. Just look at our good friend, Jeff Epps. Evil person, also deep, big time hedonists. The people he hung out with, big time hedonists. Just giving themselves over to any desire, regardless of how it hurts people. And it's interesting though, because like this food hedonism, I think just like regular hedonism is damaging to our body, mind, soul, food hedonism is, I would say, obviously damaging to our body. We just don't recognize it. This would be a really good hip muscle snatch. Snappy. I mean, food hedonism is obviously bad. You can see it, especially the evil, especially in the extremes, when people get to a point physically where they're no longer able to move, function. Obviously, eating junk plays an impact on your body and your mind. 205. This would be a really cool hip muscle snatch. That was pretty nice. Pretty nice. Another thing that we see often, I don't feel like a lot of people put the dots together, or maybe it was just me, but is like this assumption that beauty is always a sign of virtue. You see this a lot in the fitness space. This assumption that beauty is a sign of virtue. That is why people get Botox. That is why people do, a lot of people, not everyone, but that is a big reason why a lot of people do steroids. It's actually not about performance. It's about chasing beauty in hopes that they unlock virtue. But it really doesn't work like that. Don't get me wrong, true virtue has beauty in it. It's a beautiful thing. But you can almost like see the caricatures in it, in the extreme levels of Botox and injections and like steroids. Like you see this caricature of it. And then on top of that, and oftentimes it's just used to mask hedonism, just degeneracy at an epic proportions. I actually think a lot of people in this day and age would benefit from reading the book called The Picture of Dorian Gray, because it is exactly about this concept of beauty being a mask for evil and hedonism and darkness, which I think is very prevalent in our day and age. Probably always prevalent, to be honest with you. The Bible says that Satan masks himself as an angel of light. So maybe he was the OG of co-opting beauty to hide to hide his own hedonism, his own evil. All right, this is 225. We'll see about this hip muscle. This would be freaking massive if I could do that. Again. Lame. We're going to keep going up on the hip snatches though. Serious problem is a lot of people do not read books anymore, and a lot of the books they do read actually just perpetuate the chronic brain rot that is pervading our society, as opposed to being the antidote. But a lot of good old books can be incredible antidotes to the brain rot, actually. Forces you to just listen to something, follow something. Even reading or listening to the books, there's nothing wrong with listening to it. People have had oral traditions for forever. Listening and to storytelling is good for the mind. I've been listening to the Brothers Karamazov because it's free on Spotify, and it's good. It's challenging, dude. Like, all of our brains are getting ruined by our inability to sit still. But the story of Dorian Gray is about this man named Dorian Gray, or the picture of Dorian Gray, and he's young, he's beautiful, he's virtuous, is kind of how he's described as. I don't want to ruin the whole story for you guys. It's actually a really good story, a very human story. But there's this picture that somebody paints of him, and he like says, and this is all stuff that happens in the first part of the book. So I think it's in the first chapter or two, but he says, "Oh, I wish how I would never have to age, and the evils of this world, they would never mark me, and instead they would mark this photo," or not this photo, this painting. And that wish was granted. And it's interesting though, because soon what happened was evil leaves marks, and it tells a tale. But in Dorian's case, the evil did not mark him, it marked the photo instead. So it masked this the pain. It's kind of like meth mouth on people. You know somebody's done meth, a good amount of meth by their mouth. And so if like Dorian actually does get an opium addiction, but it shows no physical sign on him, but his painting, it does. And it's just fascinating. Just like most of our deep, dark sins are very private, and we hide from reality, and they don't show outward until, honestly, it's too late. On that very positive note, watch the Snatch. Yeah. Nice. All right, I'm moving on to bent over rows. Bent over rows and pullovers combined into skull crusher. That's it. Yeah. Whoa. My dad would say the saying. I'm fairly confident he did not come up with the saying, but it was, sin will always take more than you wanted to give it. It will take you further than you want to go. It will cost more than you were willing to pay. I'm butchering it right now, but it's this concept of, and you see it in the picture of Dorian Gray. And I mean, we see it, if you watched my last video, how I said, I think a lot of those people in the files probably didn't set out there. But it's this idea of never saying no, never delaying gratification, never trying to kill the lower man, if that makes sense. And that's one of the beauties of fasting, is it is a killing of the lower man. I'm gonna keep these kind of strict, I think. We'll see how they feel. Currently been keeping my plyometrics a little lower in hopes to help the knee heal quicker. Today I do Olympic lifting, but I try to keep it lighter because I haven't had a rest day in like 3 days. And so I feel like doing a variation of a hang power is a great way to control the amount of weight and volume you will do while, while working out 3 days in a row. I haven't done much of these, but I've been wanting to. Holy crap. My Lanta. Felt that in all the right places. In the lats, the tries. Sick. All right, that will probably conclude this video. Thanks for watching. I appreciate all you who watch. I love it if you comment. Give me your thoughts, your feedback, negative or positive. Peace out.